Good evening and welcome to Views with Joyce Waddell. I want to thank you for joining us this evening. We have a very interesting program and interesting guests. We're going to be talking with Charlene Steele. She is an entrepreneur, a business owner. Not only that, she has a ministry in what she does. And our topic for tonight is healthy eating. She promotes it, she lives it, she lives by example. She helps others to know, and she's working with teaching others how to live healthy, how to start their lives and move forward and do some of the things that she has done when it relates to healthy eating, healthy living, and the restaurant business that she owns. She has with her tonight her teacher, someone who helped her to be very successful, her mentor, help her to move forward with literacy skills and important techniques for being successful in business. Welcome, Charlene.
Thank you so much.
And welcome again. Charlene, we didn't get a chance for you last time to talk about how literacy helped you start your business, the business that you're in, and how your business is such a blessing to this community because you work with incarcerated individuals. Those individuals that some people wouldn't take time with because it's a struggle with patience, with understanding, with helping people to move forward. But you have all of those: patience, fortitude, persistence to help others to move forward. Now, how'd you get started with cuisine?
Well, Charlene's Cuisine is basically a tutorial program that was in an informal capacity for quite some time. Originally, I had a few people that were in need of employment and wanted to be groomed, if you will, for the positions that they wanted to apply for. And because of their friends or relatives that have had experience with working with me, and they were wanting to get groomed, I should say, in applying for those positions.
So there are a lot of restaurants in the Charlotte area, and there's several culinary arts schools, colleges in this area that are preparing people for restaurant chefs jobs, restaurant menus jobs, and restaurant and other food service jobs. But your organization is doing something quite different.
What sets us apart from the other organizations that are at hand, we actually take teens and adolescents that have been previously incarcerated that actually have the opportunity to get a job, but they also need to learn how to maintain those jobs and know their roles as an employee. Some of us don't know how to be productive citizens as well. So that was something that we also make sure that they not only chance to get to learn, but to experience. One of the great faucets that we have, or outlets I should say, is Charlene's Cuisine tutorial program has its own restaurant. At McHealthy Cafe, we also have the opportunity to have hands-on experience. They learn how to not only have a healthy work environment, they're learning more about healthy lifestyles and healthy eating at the cafe.
Now, once they learn that, then that skill that you help them experience, they see, they feel, they're embedded in, and they experience it so that they can move forward, and it transfers to other jobs that they get. So do you help them, do you go out and seek the places for them to take a position?
Yes, we've actually established quite a few relationships with restaurants in the area. With me being a ServSafe instructor and proctor, I do teach other restaurants and their staff members, especially their management staffs, about the ServSafe classes. And with that already established relationship, that gives me an opportunity to transfer my students to real life experience and then on to work with other companies. We have a wide variety of companies that are in Charlotte that we've had the opportunity to give them and their staff members ServSafe certification, and we've allowed our students to not only have their hands-on experience here at McHealthy Cafe, but those other restaurants abroad.
Audience, we're continuing to talk with Charlene Steele and Ms. Lowry as we talk about healthy living, healthy eating. Now, one of the reasons that you are successful in what you do, now you have a lot of mentors, I'm sure, but one of your strong mentors, someone that helped you, was Ms. Steele.
Ms. Lowry has...
Ms. Lowry, I'm sorry, was Ms. Lowry. She helped you to move forward, and she helped you to be successful. And Ms. Lowry, you did something special. You saw something special in her, didn't you?
I sure did. Charlene, like many of our students, just had to be reminded of really how much potential and value that she has. And not only where others could see it, but the main thing is that she saw it in herself. And even though whatever happened prior to maybe delay her getting her GED or high school diploma, we normally discuss that with students just for a brief moment to say, okay, this was then, but now we're here, and how do we move forward? So I think that conversation and just encouraging her to think like that, or encouraging her to think like that would help her to move forward.
And so one of the things that helped you as you worked with Ms. Lowry was your reading experience, how to read your contracts.
Mm-hmm. That's correct. One of the things that we did go over on a regular basis was the contracts and seeing as though recipes and everything that you have to deal with has a lot to do with numbers and math, and seeing as though that was not one of my strongest suits, we spent a lot of time trying to help cultivate that in me. And I really appreciate how passionate she was at making sure that I was successful in those areas of my where I was challenged.
So do you consider yourself what you call a late bloomer? Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm sure that you've heard that word before, that some people start off, they have mentors, they follow family patterns, and they move forward through what the family embedded in them, the family practice, the family was in business, and that they moved through generations. But that was not the case with you.
No, not at all.
You started working as early as 14 years old to take care of yourself and your family.
Yes, that's correct. But with it being a late bloomer, I just turned 41, and so just recently I have actually accepted the fact that I'm a late bloomer. But I appreciate all that, again, Fill My Cup has contributed to my life, because it has been essential for the success of my business. Although I began the program back in 2002, it wasn't until I was able to receive my GED, get a clear understanding of what it is that I'm supposed to be doing, not only with reading the contracts, but how to become a help to others. There were challenges that I was facing that I was not able to be clear or even aware of until after my experience with Fill My Cup.
Your experience and Fill My Cup with literacy, with teaching you to read, to teaching an understanding of what's in print and how it relates to your business ideas. But you were always in business before then. It helped you move to another level. It just bumped it up several notches.
That's correct.
So what got you started in business and starting such a successful business?
Actually, the love and...
Well, starting at 14, you dropped out of high school to get a job, and you started working. Were you working in the food industry at that time?
Actually, I was working in the food industry, but not at 14. When I first came into the food industry, I was working in a little Italian restaurant as a server, and I became an expediter because the manager at the restaurant, the owner actually, preferred that I would prepare the plates for everyone the way that I prepared them for myself. And with that being said, he then insisted that I cultivate the gift that was within me. So he not only wanted me to learn different stations in the restaurant, but he insisted that I go to attend culinary school. He wasn't aware of the fact that I had not finished high school, nor was he aware of the fact that I had a learning disability. So with those challenges in front of me, I was rather reluctant to go to school for that. But he did insist, and his family sponsored some hands-on training at a local culinary school in Schenectady, New York. So ever since then, you know, I have kind of actually cultivated that gift or that passion for food.
So he saw that in you early on, but did you ever tell him that you had a learning disability or that you did not finish high school? He never knew that.
No, he never
He
knew
didn't
that.
need to.
He didn't. I didn't think he needed to at the time.
Had he known, it would have probably, he would have seen you a little bit differently.
That's correct. And that was one of the challenges that I was often faced with, you know, how people would view me as someone that did not read or comprehend well, someone that had problems with numbers and figures and that sort of thing. And so what I did not want is for someone to view me differently. And so he did not know for a very long time.
Did you ever? Did he ever find out, or did you ever tell him, or did he just figured it out?
Well, I wound up telling him years later, and this, of course, was after I received my GED with Fill My Cup here in Charlotte. You know, he and his family were still living in New York, and I went to visit back in 2010, I believe, and I got a chance to tell the family, you know, that there was a problem and that we got it taken care of, because they couldn't understand why I was so reluctant to go to school, especially when someone is paying for it.
He understood then what was happening back then. So sometimes people don't need to know then, and sometimes they'll figure it out, and sometimes it's not important to them. The important thing is that you were successful at what you did, and he was an unknown mentor to you.
That's correct.
That's where you got your real start in the food industry that made you successful where you are. So many times we have mentors, and they don't say, I'm your mentor, and we don't know it. But in order to be successful somewhere along the line, when you think of people who are successful, they can think of someone who gave them encouragement, some place, an employee, a family member who mentored them. And so you're doing the same thing. You're giving back, you're mentoring others as you work with the prison ministry. Is it difficult working with people who have been incarcerated?
Oh yes, because a lot of them don't realize where their challenges lie. So some of them take it out through anger, through frustrations and that sort of thing. So, you know, getting a chance to understand, you know, where their challenges lie has been something that has kept them from being successful in certain areas of their lives.
And so they end up being angry.
Yes.
And resorting to decisions that are not healthy decisions that land them where they are. Now, Ms. Lowry, in working with Fill My Cup and literacy, helping people to read, you encounter a lot of those same people with those same kinds of attitudes, don't you?
Yes, it is true. Over the years, we have people that are, so to speak, mandated to come improve
learn
their
how to read.
education and learn how to read to get their GED. So we've had a number of students, again, they might have a probation officer, you know, that they had to report, or we had to report information back to, or some type of other program. But at any rate, many times we must say, even though they came kind of, as we would say, begrudgingly, if you will, out of relationship, that you must, you know, develop with anyone on any level. And that trust, once the trust comes there, that I'm really here to help you, help yourself. Then once that develops, then some of the, you know, the I don't want to be here kind of thing, it goes away. And I've had one of the best things that happened to me, I received a nice note from a former student, and She was a woman in a halfway house, so to speak, type environment, and she successfully completed that. But part of her completion had to be that she obtained her GED, and she was a very smart young woman. And after we went through all what we went through, because it was just kind of like oil and water initially, just with her not wanting to be there and a lot of other things she was dealing with. But afterwards, she was able to say in a note that I really appreciate your, hanging in there with me until I became successful.
Oh, great. That makes it all worthwhile.
Yes,
And for you, it's like saying thank you, and it really makes you feel that what you're doing is so very important
That's right,
and so
yes.
helpful to others.
Yes,
Because it's a blessing, it's a ministry that you're
Yes.
giving back.
Thank you.
Artists, we're going to take a short break. And we talked about a mentor as we talk about healthy eating. As we talk about someone being a mentor to you and how that mentor can help you along the way. And sometimes the mentor just comes forward. It's just like something that's natural, that's divine, that's spiritual. And other times you must seek that mentor out. And each of us can help mentor another. We're going to talk about that and talk about healthy eating. Sometimes you don't realize what you're eating and the difference it will have in your life in the future. You know that you're enjoying it. We'll talk about that too, as we talk about Charlene and Charlene's kitchen and healthy eating. So stay with us. Audience, we're continuing to talk with Charlene Steele and Miss Lowry as we talk about healthy eating literacy and how it makes a difference in our lives, and how many things that you're doing, you don't even realize it, that it's not healthy. That's not the way you should eat. But there is a better way in food preparation and food selection and in food combinations. Now, we're hearing a lot about organic and natural. Is that the same thing?
Well, organic and all natural, pretty much, they're very similar. When someone is certified organic, that means the USDA has actually come in and checked to make sure that how your food is prepared, how it's grown, and how it's stored, it's been certified organic. You do have all natural products that are free of certain pesticides and hormones and fillers and additives that makes them all natural.
You know, back in the day when everybody had a garden.
Mm-hmm.
That's before your time.
That was organic. That was all natural.
But it was, you had to use pesticides. If you didn't use pesticides, the insects would eat up your entire garden. So you had to put pesticides on it. So did that destroy what you were doing when you talked about healthy living?
Well, when it comes down to the pesticides, when it comes down to being certified organic, you have to use organic pesticides, things that are not going to be harmful for your fruits and your vegetables or even your livestock.
Now, people didn't know that. They thought that everybody had a garden, but everybody had to spray and put dust and powder and stuff on their garden to keep the beetles out. But there's a way that you can plant certain things beside other things to get rid of the insects that would destroy it. Somebody said sunflowers, different flowers around the beans. Is that how it works?
Well, again, there are certain products that you can use that are considered all natural when it comes down to you can use as a pesticide. And those of us that are into gardening would have more detailed information. Yes, ma'am, when it comes down to that. We, on the other hand, are a cafe market that has organic and all-natural products. So I have vendors and purveyors that provide me with all-natural products. One of my vendors is He Naturals, Ms. Helen and Emery, all-natural products. They have things that all-natural teas and smoothie mixes, and we have all-natural soap products.
Now tell me about the gardening now. Could any individual just plant a garden? They want to do their own beans, their own peas, and leave out the animals, because a lot of what we get poison from is animal meat, isn't it? We don't know. They feed the animals and they grow them, the cows, in 6 months, and they slaughter them. They grow the chickens in 3 months.
Well, I'm not a gardener, and I don't do anything that you're just speaking of. I pretty much
rely on other products.
I rely
And the other
on,
thing we said we were going to let the audience know is about mentors.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have one, and you think you don't have one, how important it is that you ask someone, will you mentor me, will you help me? And how willing are people to do that for others?
Well, again, as I stated in the break, I have been blessed to be surrounded by people such as Sheila Lowry from Fill My Cup, who have been very, very interested in my success. I have been a part of another organization for quite some time called Operation Help One Another, and they are also, a group that would love to make sure that our community stays successful. And when it came down to the food service industry, I've had quite a few mentors prior to me opening my catering business, prior to me opening a restaurant, that I was able to look to for answers when I had questions. So I have been blessed in that area to receive help and direction from mentors in the area.
You've had very great mentors to help you to be where you are. And along the line of good mentors, you've also encountered some people who saw what you were doing,
Mm-hmm.
and they liked what you were doing. And competition is always great.
Mm-hmm.
Competition is healthy, and yes, competition can be a deterrent. When people start one restaurant, or they do one thing that's successful and someone else sees it successful, they try to do the same thing. I've seen that in business over and over and over. So you're successful at what you're doing. In fact, I had one friend, she was so successful at what she was doing, the employees that worked for her went and started doing the same thing. Have you ever experienced that in your business?
Well, we've all experienced sometimes when someone loves or likes an idea that you have originated, but like you said earlier, you know, there's nothing
Well, God
wrong
didn't
with
give
a
it to
little.
them. God
That's
gave
correct.
it to you.
Mhm. And so that's one thing that I'm most thankful for. What God has for me is definitely for me. And so no matter if they have the financial resources or well-equipped with the staff, or but whatever God has for me is definitely going to be for me. So.
And you don't worry about what they're doing. You're doing what you're doing, and you
No.
keep moving forward, and they're doing what they're doing.
Yes.
Audience, we want to thank you for being with us on Views with Joyce Waddell and for sharing your time and energies with us. I want to also thank Sheila and Charlene for being with us and for sharing with us the basic information that it takes to be healthy, a healthy lifestyle, and for healthy eating. Some people have said that if you eliminate meat from your diet, it will cause you to be the healthiest you can be. As we think about people who live in some of the other countries, many of them are very healthy because they have diets that focus a lot on vegetables, berries, and they live a long life without a lot of illnesses. So have you found that to be true, that meat is one of the things that prevents us from being as healthy as we need to be?
Well, I think what I've found to be true is
That could just be a myth. It may not be true.
well, what I found to be true is that anything that you do in abundance is not going to be healthy. You know, if you pay attention to the pyramid, it's a little bit of everything.
Okay.
So it's a
Well,
nutrition
thank you for being here, and thank you too for being here. And audience, most of all, thank you, and thank these volunteers for being with me all day. Without you, it wouldn't be possible.